Yo, what's going on, you absolute beauties? Today I'm going to be going over everything related to intermittent fasting. Class is in session. I'm going to go over whether or not you should do it, if you want to do it, how to do it properly. I'm going to weigh out the pros and cons. I get so many freaking questions, so everything you need about intermittent fasting is going to be in this video for you. So, what the fuck is it? It's pretty much time-restricted eating. You have a smaller window to eat. Same 24 hours, you just have a picked out window throughout the day of a certain amount of hours that you are gonna eat all of your calories in, okay? Normally people just don't have any window, like they just eat. If they wanna eat at 11 o'clock, they can. You wanna wake up at 5 a.m. and eat, sure. But if you're doing intermittent fasting, you have like a window. Let's say it's from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. And so you don't eat until 2 p.m. and then you don't eat after 10 p.m. You have that small window or whatever window you want to eat all your calories in. Now, this eating window does not really matter. If you want to make your eating window an hour, 4 hours, 8 hours, which is typically the most common, you eat for an 8-hour period, usually like 2 to 10 p.m. and then fast the rest, including your sleep. Obviously you're fasting. You could do it in 10 minutes if you really wanted to. The eating window is completely up to you, okay? You can choose whatever you want. If calories are equated and at the end of the day, you're gonna lose the exact same amount of fat. People think there's something magical that's going on when you're fasting. If calories are equated at the end of the day, whether you ate all of your calories within 10 minutes or over a 24-hour period, you're gonna lose the exact same amount of fat because you ate the same amount of calories. So there's nothing absolutely magical about intermittent fasting. Most people just do it because it can help them create a caloric deficit more easily. If you have less time to eat, it's more likely that you'll probably eat less calories. Okay, that's the theory behind it. Some people can stick to this really well and they're like, holy shit, I don't need that many calories if I'm eating in this small amount of window. Or other people are like, no, I can't fast that long. And it's completely individual and it's completely up to the person if they can stick to that or not. So if you do want to give it a shot, these are my recommendations. I recommend you start out with an 8-hour eating window, 11 to 7, 2 to 10, pick whatever you want to do around like your work schedule, whatever, an 8-hour eating window, and then your 16-hour fast window. That's including your sleep usually. Try that out. If you can stick to it, great, and it helps you create a caloric deficit and you really like it, then maybe it's a useful tool for you to keep using. If you find that you don't like fasting and you're extremely hungry and it's just not for you, then don't do it. A lot of people can't do it, and there's nothing like I don't do it anymore. I used to do it, but I don't do it anymore. There's nothing wrong if you don't want to do it. It's definitely not as optimal for bulking, okay? For sure not optimal for bulking because you're trying to get in more calories, and if you're restricting the amount of time you have to eat more calories, it's going to be a lot harder to get those calories in. But I think of it as a fat loss tool. If you can stick to intermittent fasting and it helps you create a caloric deficit, then it can be useful for you, but it's not magical. Now, intermittent fasting is not the most optimal dieting strategy to follow if you're trying to put on the most amount of muscle possible, okay? Even in a caloric deficit at maintenance and in a surplus, it's definitely not as optimal because you're not having protein spread out throughout the day, unless your eating window is massive, but then you're not really intermittent fasting anyway. If you have, non-intermittent fasting eating window, you just eat when you wake up and to the time you go to bed, you're gonna have more protein spread out in different meals throughout the day, and that's gonna be better for optimizing muscle protein synthesis and maybe gaining a little more muscle, okay? If you have 2 high protein meals versus 5, is the effect gonna be that big? Like if you're having 5 meals, are you gonna gain that much more muscle than someone gaining or having 2 high protein meals? Probably not. It's not that big of a deal. The biggest thing is to hit your overall protein goal for the day. But if you're spreading out throughout the day, that's gonna be a little bit better than having 2 high protein meals, but it's not like this be all end all factor that you're gonna gain like 10 more pounds than the guy who's only eating 2 high protein meals. No, that's a big misconception. I see Greg Doucette talk about that a lot, and he always bashes on intermittent fasting. Okay, the effect is so small. It's not that big of a deal. It is some effect, but it's not that big of a deal where the guy eating more protein throughout the day is going to gain that much more muscle. Maybe a little bit, but not that much more. So if your goal is to put on the most amount of muscle possible, you shouldn't even be intermittent fasting. Because you need to spread out your calories and protein throughout the day. This is if you want to optimize muscle growth. That's your primary goal. You're not trying to lose fat. You want to be in a caloric surplus and spread out your protein through 4 or 5 meals throughout the day, that would be most optimal, okay? I see intermittent fasting as a fat loss tool. So you can have bigger meals in a smaller eating window and it can help you stick to it better. For some people, not everybody, some people can really do this well, okay? It's not really a bulking tool. You can do it if you want to intermittent fast and you have this massive appetite and you want to have all your calories within a few hours or 8-hour eating window instead of throughout the day. Go for it, okay? If you can do that, you're still gonna gain muscle in a surplus, getting enough protein, okay? You're not gonna gain as much though if you were spreading out your protein throughout the day. That's the biggest thing. But if you can find yourself sticking to intermittent fasting really, really well, especially when you're losing fat, then it's definitely something to pursue in the future or keep doing, okay? If you can stick to it. Adherence is the most important aspect of a diet by far. So if intermittent fasting helps you feel full, satiated, you just really like the layout of your meals or whatever, and you can stick to it every single day, and you're like, okay, fat loss is freaking easy if I'm doing intermittent fasting, then why would you switch, okay? Stick to that. Even if you're getting a little better muscle retention or muscle growth, if you're having, 2 more high protein meals, it's probably not gonna be that much. And if you can't stick to that, it doesn't even matter, okay? If you can stick to intermittent fasting better than the 5 high protein meals throughout the day, then no shit, you're gonna see more progress, even more muscle growth doing intermittent fasting, okay? If you can adhere to it better. Adherence trumps all. Now, when you are in your fasting stage, so let's say you have an 8-hour eating window and then a 16-hour fasting window. In that 16 hours, you probably get 8 hours of sleep, whatever. Let's say you start eating at 2 p.m. You can have black coffee and 0-calorie drinks up to 2 p.m. or even past 2 p.m. because there's 0 calories. Like black coffee's maybe got 4 calories. It's not a big deal. It's not really gonna break your fast, okay? You can have black coffee and a lot of water, and that's gonna help curb your hunger while you're fasting. You may get an initial hunger spike, and usually that's in the morning, and most people mistake it for hunger when it's actually thirst. So chug water in the morning. You might still be a little hungry after 2 hours or something, and it should subside if you're having black coffee, drinking a lot of water. It should go down, and then you're gonna be fine. You won't cry. But if you find yourself really, really hungry and you can't stick to it after a few days, then don't do it, okay? Don't do intermittent fasting if it's torture and you can't do the fasting part. That's not fun, and you're not gonna stick to it well, and you just don't like it. So if you can really do it though, and you're like, okay, I'm having my black coffee, I'm really focused in the morning, don't have to worry about food, maybe it's something you can stick to and keep going, keep using it. So hope that made sense to you guys. Hope that gave you the rundown on intermittent fasting. Just to recap, shit's not magical. It's not gonna make you lose more fat just because you're fasting. If it helps you create a caloric deficit, then it will help you lose more fat, of course, but it doesn't deny energy balance. There's nothing magical about it. It's just a tool for some people to use to help create a calorie deficit. It's always gonna come down to being in a calorie deficit to lose fat and weight overall. So don't get it twisted. There's nothing magical about this. It's just a tool, okay? Just a fucking tool. There's like a big cult, like intermittent fasting culture out there, and they think it's some magic shit. It's not, okay? It's not. Don't get that in your head. There's nothing magic about intermittent fasting. All right, guys, hope you liked the video. If you want to see more reaction videos, comment down below, let me know. And also let me know what kind of content you guys want to see from me. I was gonna do more meal type stuff, snacks, all that kind of stuff, because I'm mid-cut and I'm making some good shit, protein ice cream, all that stuff. So let me know in the comments if you guys want to see more of that. I'm gonna have to fucking set up in the kitchen and shit. I'm hyped. All right, thanks for watching, guys. See you later.